Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the Back Office Teardown Lab. Good friend of the channel, again Simon Locke, sent me this PSU to test on my Commodore 64 because he was having some issues with it. And I was like, yep, no problemo. And I started my testing and I noticed when I turned off my Commodore 64 and put it back on again, it would fail to come on. It would just end up with a black screen. So I thought it might be a power supply issue. So I brought my old power brick here, you can see in the top left corner, and tried that. And that would also exhibit the same problem. So there is something wrong in here. Now, as far as I'm aware, Commodore 64s, even these later versions, had some PLA chips. And the PLA chips could get hot, so I'm going to see if I can run this without the lid and see if something's getting hot, because it does seem to work if you wait a while. So it could be something I can just put a heatsink on for now. You see, someone's already been here. It says computer tape, 5 Great George Street, Weymouth, Dorset, DT4 9NN, phone Weymouth, 781745. I doubt anybody will be on the end of that phone line at the moment. But you live in hope. This is quite nice though. It's a bit of history for this. It was bought in Dorset. Dorset. I don't know if people sound like that in Dorset. You can let me know, of course. I've never opened up one of these, but as we know, someone has been inside. I think when I got this, it was bought, you know, modded or something, because it came with this little adapter thing with some games on it and all of that. I suspect I just bought this as one that's been refurbed, but until we go inside, we won't know whether or not it really has been refurbed. Frankly, I'm not sure how I'd tell. So I'm going to hopefully not crack any plastics. It just seemed to come off there. There is something onto the motherboard, and that's just the LED. So yeah, so far so good. And it does look like all of the chips there are accessible and the keyboard can come out. So what might be good is just to undo, I'm presuming, these 2 screws. And that'll let me rotate the keyboard out the way. Then we can power it back up. And I'll just have a feel around, because I don't have a flare. I should get a flare, but I don't have one. So we're going to have to go the old-fashioned way, and that's the pokey, burny finger way to see what's up. But looking at this, what if it's just the seating issue? Maybe you might just need a little bit of a push down. But before we do, let's zoom in ever so slightly, try to get the whole width in there. Just have a quick gander with me eyeballs here. So I don't know if I'm seeing any new capacitors. I mean, they all look okay. I'm not seeing any bulgy capacitors. In fact, there's very few electrolytic capacitors on here. And I would be able to check, of course, to see if any of these chips are standard or non-standard socketed, to see if any have been replaced. But on first glance, it seems to look okay. Got the power plugged in now, so I'm going to switch it on. We don't see anything. There's no LEDs connected anymore. And I'm going to have a little feel of these things, and while I'm at it, I'll give them a little push. And you can hear that clicking sound, that creaking sound. That's the sound of a chip seating down a few millimeters, well, a few fractions of a millimeter deeper in the socket. And I think it's best for me just to leave it like that for a while and see if anything cooks. I'm not getting much heat on anything here. I mean, I think I'm getting some heat from this guy, but I'm not convinced at all. I'm not convinced at all. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to knock it off, because that was the weird effect. You turn it off and then you turn it on. Got the screen next to me that you can't see. The screen is, nope, that rebooted that time. I'm going to knock it off again. And what I think I'll do is let's go in there. Let's fix those while we're here. It could be just something simple. I mean, if anything could be affecting it, it's this, just because it just looks so janky. It just looks so janky. So I'm just applying a bit more heat. Let's see what happens. These look like boys that need a bit of flux. In fact, before I do the next one, why don't we test it for continuity? Let's see if there's any glitching. I'm not sure what these do, to be honest. It's just a some sort of rectification on this, the video out. So we're on continuity mode, and we're going from the common ground. I don't know, they look alright to me. I suppose it couldn't hurt. If you're doing anything like this at home though, you know, you can see the process. We just put a little bit of flux on each thing, like so. And grab your soldering iron. I've got this one set to 350. It might be a little bit cool, because it might, when you've got something like this which is attached to a ground plane, you often need a bit more heat, but we'll have a go. Come on. That's really unconvincing, but that's alright, that's okay. I'm using my leaded solder, contemporary for the time. I think I'm going to hook up some more stuff to make sure it's really exercising things. Plug this guy in, and I'm going to plug this guy in. So that's hooked up this little drive emulator here. I'm going to pop that on. And then I do, let's see, load. Oh my gosh, I don't know what we put. You can probably hear in the background some music playing, which is a video game that's running. And what I've noticed, I'm going to turn it off and then I've noticed that some of the keys don't seem to work when I started to type in my name. It said enter your name. Look. So QWERTYU, I isn't working, O isn't working, P. So that's weird. So we've got to determine. Oh, there's a whole load of keys coming down here which isn't working. It's like on a row. Like N doesn't work, J, I, O doesn't work, K doesn't work, M doesn't work, and I suspect that is something fishy. I need to determine whether or not it's the key now it's at fault or if it's something here. So that could be the root of all evil. There could be a PLA here that's taking care of the keyboard and taking care of a few other things, and that, if that's messing up, that will be stopping this from booting. I found a diagram here, so I'm just going to test which ones work. U works, P doesn't. 90, IO, JK, N and M. So let's have a check here. And if you look on the diagram, which I got from the internet, it's breadbox64.com, you can see that 9, I, J, N, M, K, O and 0 are all on the same channel. So that's not good. So we can see where the columns are mapped to here, and that's mapping to this connector. And it's saying the one we're interested in with all of those is on column E, and then zooming right in, we can see down here, column E is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pins up from the bottom. Told you a porcupine is actually 5 from the top. This is flipped over. Now you can see I've put 2 pins in. One is on E and one is on 0. So you can see that's the row and 0. So if we hit 9, which is there, we should get continuity. So I'm going to hold that there and hold that there, and then we should be able to tell if the keyboard is at fault. And I'm not getting... Oh, no, I am. Okay, come on. There you go. Sanity check. Now I'm not sure how much resistance we should be seeing though. We're seeing it go down to 60 ohms when you push the button here, so I'm thinking these switches should be making a proper closed circuit when we do that. I've moved it all on one, so now it's on the column F. Now when I attach this, if I press the positive key on the keyboard, the plus on the top row, well, that's the effect we're seeing. It's a few ohms less, but to be honest, I think it's within tolerance here. Problem I think isn't within the keyboard, it's something here. It took a bit of mental gymnastics to work out which pins on the chip to use, but now if I hit 9 on the keyboard, you can see the multimeter there drops down from 3.2 kilo ohms down to 2.4 on the top row, so that's the 9 key. And then if I hit I, it's doing the same, and J, etc. So it does seem to be getting through, but interestingly enough, look at this key. When I hit this key, it's down to, it's 56 ohms, and let go, it's 3.2 kilo ohms. So that's quite something you'd expect, that when I hit the 9, it's only going from 3.2 to 2.4. So that suggests to me maybe it could still be a dirty key. Squizzing a bit of contact cleaner into that hasn't done anything. So I think I'm going to try to short it out on the PLA here. We've got to be careful here. We need to short out pin 6 and pin 10. So I'm going to count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh dear. I'm not seeing 9s on the screen. That's no good. I'm going to do a sanity check again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. I would expect to be seeing some characters appearing. So that's no good. So instead of pin 7, that's no good. So instead of pin 6, let's go to pin 7, which is the next row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're on pin 7. And then we're going to do 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to touch it off there, and I'm getting pluses on the screen. And then the next one, I'm getting P's. Pluses and P's. And the rest. So I'm going to go back to 6 again. 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm not getting anything. I think we've got a crook chip. Let's see what we can find on eBay. People have hacked some up to make them into key rings. That's no good. And then we're going, oh, $35 plus 10, £35 plus £10 from USA. Nope, nope, nope. Nope, nope, nope. I think this Commodore 64 is going to stay dead. I've asked the internet. So far, nobody's got back to me. So I think I'll just have a quick go at cleaning this lot out. Got nothing to lose at this point. Those chips look way expensive. And looking at this, it's actually got solder on each pin. So I'm wondering if someone's been in here. Maybe these are all freshly socketed from previous repair. If so, this not good. It'd be nice to know what took the chip out though, wouldn't it? But I suspect this chip does more things than that, so hopefully just changing that one chip might fix that black screen of death. So I'm going to turn it on again. Let's see, fingers crossed. Okay, it's come on. Got to plug the keyboard in. Probably ought to knock it off. I could see even the pins on the keyboard are slightly bent, so someone's been in here yanging that in and out a few times. Maybe that was the original issue they had when they were playing with it. No! So I'm afraid... Oh! Did we lose more than one row? I mean, we've got the 9 and the 0. Yeah, I think we did, if I recall. So I think I'm going to wait to see if I can get hold of another one of these, but we're probably going to have to wrap this up for now because in my experience, especially during lockdown and COVID, these replacements are taking a long time. So unless this exists in the VIC-20, which I suspect it doesn't, I won't have anything which will have anything close to a spare one of those. I've got to say a big thank you to everyone on Twitter and Discord who told me that apparently there's a second one of these chips. So I don't have to wait to see if that's the issue before ordering up a spare chips. I can swap them round. So there is a second one somewhere. So let's say we have the 6526. I'm guessing it's this annoying guy here, which we can't quite see. So I'm going to take that off. Still while scanning the other chips, but I really don't think it's them. 6526R4. Yep, that is the same one. So let's lever that one up. So this is off, but I will unplug it. I don't want to exasperate it. Now I really wonder, here we go, what was going on with this, why it was originally dismantled, or maybe these suffer from certain common things when they get to a certain age. Apparently, if it doesn't have this chip in, or it's not functioning correctly, it's just something to do with the general I/O, so it won't be a big deal necessarily if you're not using any peripherals. Looking at it, again, a desoldered chip, so I suspect these weren't socketed, so I'm just going to swap them around. I'm going to pop that one in there. And I'm going to pop this one in here. And I wasn't sure if I mentioned it, but the bit that got me thinking about this wasn't the fact the keyboard wasn't working, because frankly I wouldn't even really use it. I was just loading games up from that little gadget, and you've got a menu on there, so it doesn't really matter. But the joystick was messing up, so the joystick didn't seem to be working, and that chip does all that. So we're ready to go again. Let's go. Pop it on. It's on the screen. Ah! All that works. In fact, hang on. Oh, 9. It's working, but it's not reliable. I came out. I. I'm definitely getting presses where I wasn't getting any presses before, but I wouldn't say they're great presses. Still, there's nothing saying that that chip wasn't the original one that has been swapped round. Great! I feel really bad, and I'm really sorry for taking you on an emotional roller coaster on this, but it's actually working now. I have got it working. So after I shut down the video to just give up, frankly, on this and say, all right, let's go and have a cup of tea, I thought, let's just take it out. There's only a few screws here. It's really nice. There's no metal shielding or anything like that, so just undo the screws to pop the board out to have a proper look at it. Give it a little bit of a squiz like that. You know, you're crunching down all these chips. And I thought, oh, I'll have a flip over and see what it looks like on the back. And I did. And then you can see there has been some rework here. We knew there was rework, but I didn't realise it was this sort of drastic. So looking at the areas that had been touched, I thought, okay, why don't we have a look back down to here though, which is our peripheral controller. And you can see here on the right, it's a slightly different colour, because I just went in there with my soldering iron and held it on there for a few moments longer and fed some extra soldering, and it worked. So I'll just show you what I was doing, because I want to do it on the other side. It's nothing special. The soldering iron is set to 350. I've just got some leaded solder. And what I was doing, I was just literally just holding the soldering iron to the side of that and feeding an extra tiny bit more, making the blob a little bit bigger, with the intention of dripping solder down into the other side, because you can see on this side there's no traces going to here. The traces are all on the far side, and on this side all of the traces are on this side of the board. So it's very easy to see here if you've got good contact, which I suspect are all looking pretty good to me. Whereas on the other side, if there's any damage on the wires, and let's face it, somebody yoinking these out could have easily damaged the wires, they might not have a good contact, so flowing that extra solder in could bridge it wherever it hasn't been bridged. And I'm happy to say that did the trick. And you can see it's got this darker colour, this slightly varnished colour here, because that's the old flux melting off. So I think it's a case of all's well that ends well. I'm absolutely over the moon now, frankly, that I don't have to spend 60 quid or something on these hard to find chips, and I can just get on with my fiddling on here. Something I did notice though, again, before I just sign off here, there's an interesting thing here which says Open NTSC Short PAL. And it makes me wonder, what does that do? You know, there's a jumper here. I wonder if you can put something in there to switch between NTSC or PAL, or I suspect it would require a different crystal. But that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? You'd be able to go from 50 Hz to 60 Hz, maybe get a little bit of extra speed out of these. Anyway, right, I think we've slapped the donkey hard enough.